return. Are we live now?
We're live now.
Okay. What's up, Big Bob? Hey, how you doing? I want to give a shout out to our executive producer, Brenda Ringwood, who's also the founder of Becoming the Better You Foundation. What are we going to talk about?
I think what I'd like to talk about.
Wait, excuse me. I have a very, very prestigious and important guest today, Johnny Avocado.
Mhm.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for coming.
Thanks.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thanks for having me on, Bob. I appreciate it. So talking about today, you brought up that I'm from the BTBY. I think that'd be a great thing for us to talk about. You want to talk a little bit about what we're doing with the BTBY now?
What is BTBY?
So the BTBY, for those at home that don't know, it's the Becoming the Better You.
Oh, wait a second. There's only 17 people watching. What do you mean, for those of you who don't know?
Well, we need to make sure those 17 folks can tell their friends.
Okay.
So the Becoming the Better You is the BTBY is the Becoming the Better You, and it's a bit of a movement and an organization kind of together. We're a group of individuals who know that for us to be better, we have to become better. My personal mantra is that I want the world to be a better place, and that I know for that to happen, we all have to become better people. And so what the BTBY is a group of like-minded individuals who recognize that we all have something we need to learn, and that we all have something that we can teach each other. And that of all the lessons that we could do for one another, of all the gifts that we could give to each other, would be some knowledge that we could share, that you didn't have to suffer my pain or go through quite all the drama that I had to.
I've always said it's cheaper to learn from somebody else's mistakes.
Absolutely. My father taught me that if somebody was willing to tell you their story, that you ought to listen, because there's got to be some information in there for you. So,
well, not everybody's story is important.
Sometimes this is true. Sometimes you gotta kind of weed through the chaff a little bit.
So I understand and can verbalize what BTBY means to me.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean to you? And how do you utilize it? And what is the foundation? And give me the history and give me the overview.
Sure. So the BTBY was started with Brenda Ringwood, and she was an advocate who was looking for a way to put her own story out there. She would have been a very successful business person who had had run awry with the law, and so she had spent her time in prison. And when she came out, she wanted to be able to redefine herself and tell her story in a way that meant more to her than just somebody who went to prison and came back. And that was kind of the kernel. And when she started reaching out to other individuals, she started to find other like-minded people who were having trouble sharing and telling their story as well. And one of the individuals she met was a guy by the name of Dr. Reuben West, who is a speaker. He goes around and kind of helps people essentially tell their stories. He tells his story to a very powerful effect. He can kind of really put you in the emotion and in the space of where he's at.
I had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Reuben West on this podcast. So if anybody wants to know more about Dr. West, rewind. He's out there someplace.
We'll see if we can't get our executive producer to throw that information down in the comments below, right? So you can go check it out. And so she had met Dr. Reuben West, and Dr. Reuben West had helped other speakers kind of get their footing, and he had helped her. And she started to get her voice and started to get her footing. And one of the things that she realized was that her story, even as powerful as it was, wasn't the only story that people needed to hear. And that she recognized that when she told her story in conjunction with others, that it amplified her story, not lessened it. That some people could connect with this other person's stories and some people could connect with hers. And so what she started to do was to bring a group of us together that had different stories that could connect to different people. That oftentimes we'd find ourselves collecting a group of individuals, but they were so diverse and varied in what their needs were that we discovered that sometimes we had to bring a very diverse and varied group to fit that need. And so the BTBY is kind of the beginning of that organization, where you can kind of tap in and you can find people of like-mindedness, similar situations, who need the same information you do. Maybe you were dealing with abuse in your past, or you're dealing with being a single mother, or if you're dealing with having children that have severe developmental issues, or you were somebody who had been to prison and are trying to find your way back into what we would call the civilian world, or someone like myself who was maybe a veteran and had a hard time transitioning back to what's called basic to a civilian lifestyle. You can kind of tap into the BTBY and start to find some of the individuals that can give you their stories or lead you down your own path. And there's so many resources. I love how we kind of had a bit of a conversation earlier, Bob, about what we do at the BTBY. And one of the suggestions you had made was for us to kind of put out a bit of a library of some recommended reading. And that's exactly some of what we're doing. That's a bit of what the BTBY does, is we help you connect to resources. So that sounds like a lot of words, but what that looks like in practice is the BTBY, we put on events and experiences is what we call them. And you come for a day or a couple hours, whatever depends on the event. And you'll come and you'll hear stories and you'll get connected to resources and tools. And I like that you brought that up earlier in the conversation that we had before we got online here, was that we want to make sure we bring value. And that would be maybe what would separate the BTBY from other feel-good organizations, is that you're not just here to hear stories or to cry and boo-hoo, but to be connected to the tools that you need to move forward and move through that pain, or to move past that trauma and move into your success and get into a place where we all want to be in a place where you are, Bob, like this, where you can be significant.
Well, nobody wants to be in this place. But we're going to move towards how to become a better you. Not just, yes, you need to become a better you, but how do you become a better you? Whether it's health and wellness, whether it's financial survival to success and building security, whether it is in health and wellness or in service to the community. It's how do you become a better version of yourself and become the person you want to be, you wanted to become. All of us are broken. I believe almost everybody is broken or has been broken. And we all have a better vision of ourselves than who we are today, as who we want to become. And it's hard to do by yourself. And through the BTBY, we're going to help people become the best version of themselves by giving them the tools, the encouragement, the support of how they become a better them. Beautiful.
Absolutely. You hit that quite succinctly. One of the tenets about trying to become a better you, that process of becoming better, everyone says it and everyone knows it. It's hard for us to implement it until we really think about it, but it's you become the people that you hang out with. And that is why the community of BTBY exists, is because you want to be with a community of people that are becoming better.
That is a lot of wisdom, because if you hang out with losers, it's pretty hard to be a winner. If you hang out with successful people, it's a lot easier to become successful. If you hang out with healthy people, it's a lot easier to become healthy. If you hang out with people who are spiritual and emotionally secure and developed, it's going to be easier for you to become emotionally and spiritually developed. So you hang out with the people who emulate who you want to become.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a wide range. I believe everybody on the planet has a better vision of themselves than who they actually are today, with the exception of maybe Trump. But everybody else has a much better version of who they can be.
Yes. And I love how you say that too. This is where I kind of sit in some of this spaces where we take some of the touchy feel good and we're where the rubber really meets the road. What is the true science? What is our true understanding of everything from the power of faith to prayer to concentration to mindset? It's not just fairy tales anymore. There's hard science about how some of this does or doesn't work.
Right. So what do you do for BTBY?
Currently, I'm the general manager. I just took over as the general manager, so I'm kind of the bit of the ringleader for some of the circus a little bit now.
Congratulations!
Thank you, sir.
It must pay a lot of money.
Oh no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's
good.
So what I do at the BTBY, I find value in a lot of things. I also work in the virtual reality and the therapy space outside of the BTBY. I work with veterans and technology. I kind of bring the two together, and so I bring a lot of that knowledge and of the psychology and how and why we make decisions to what I do on the stage.
You're on the stage.
I am also. Yes, I'm also one of the speakers.
What do you speak about?
I speak about those things. I speak about mental health. I speak about processes, really. I'm a very creative person, but it really made me an unproductive individual if I don't follow a process. Long story short, one of the things that I discovered early in life, as I was graduating high school, I realized I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to do something. I didn't want to sit around like all my friends had and go nowhere. Most of my friends were just a few years older. And so I joined the Air Force. I joined the military. And
Thank you for your service.
I appreciate that.
When I was growing up, military people were not revered and respected. it was a different time being an American.
Mm-hmm.
And patriots, those who served, were spat upon.
Mm.
Today, we say thank you for your service, and you must hear it every single time you mention that you're a vet. You probably have somebody say thank you for your service.
I'd say most anymore. I really do, and it's amazing. And I remember, because I do. I remember. I like that you said that. I spent a lot of time in VFW halls and in American Legions. You know, every male member of my family served in some fashion. We lost one or two. A couple guys come back, you know, kind of beat up a little bit. We were as far as a family unit, pretty fortunate comparatively, but all of them served. And so I have uncles that, you know, really lived that story, that and when you sit at the VFW and you share some of those stories, it's so good to be able to give back to them, because as we were young airmen, Marines, and whatnot coming up, even though they had been through such tough times in their service, and some of that was really difficult for them to come back with, they still carried the pride of what it meant to be a military serviceman. And I think I like what you said there about how that has changed. And I know what was institutional in that change was that we as military people still continue to carry ourselves the way we always had. That even through the times that we were spit on, or the times that we get parades, that you still fall back to the characteristic of what it means to be a military
Backbone of
member.
America.
Yes, sir.
Truly is.
Mm-hmm.
The one constant, or close to constant, that we've had in 250 years is service to the federal government to protect the mass, protect society.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that can never be appreciated enough. Not just giving your life, giving your health, giving your time, giving your love for our country. I mean, I don't think there's too many people who join the military to get rich.
No.
A lot of people become politicians to get rich, but I don't think there's anybody who goes in the military to get rich.
It's one of the absolute biggest asks that we ask of anybody in society. It absolutely is. We ask people in their prime to give up the prime of their life to do the toughest deeds and the hardest tasks that there are in the world.
Absolutely. All right. So when you speak on the stage,
Mm-hmm.
do you speak to vets? Do you speak to students? Do you speak to the general population? Where is your niche?
When I'm on the stage, I actually kind of open up to a little bit of the general population. Much of what I know and what I deal with vets transfers absolutely into the rest of other society. And in fact, much of what I know about psychology and about the decisions we make and how we motivate ourselves, much of it comes from two places. One is the military, what the military understands about how to create a better soldier. And then the other one is much of it comes from marketing and sales. A whole lot of how we choose to buy, they know a lot of that information. So some of our motivations. And so that's much of what I share. I share how a process, much of what the military taught me, how a process can help you, and then how understanding your internal motivation to make you work the way you want to work. And that's a pretty universal across the board. Now, when I speak to vets, I speak more directly to them about what's that applicable to them. And when we go to youth events, we go, BTBY also has a youth arm. We speak to the children in more of a context that they can understand.
When did you learn how to be such a polished, fantastic speaker? Because we've been on for 15, 20 minutes. He hasn't said once. You haven't hesitated once. You've been absolutely spectacular in how you converse.
I appreciate that. A little bit of that I'll have to give to my parents. They never taught me. They never talked to us as children. They always talked to us as adults. And so I want to thank my parents the way they had raised me. And if you had good parents, make sure you thank your mom for Mother's Day and upcoming Father's Day. They did all the hard things, even though you were mad at them, to make you be the great people that you are. And I hope that you have the courage to do that for your children when it's hard for you to be hard on your kids when you need to be. So thank you. So my parents was a great place to start. But then the thing that really kind of gave me some polish is right here within the BTBY. We also have, you ask about how it happens. Well, how we become the better you is we get with the people that have the knowledge and they share it to us. And at the BTBY, we have a couple of places where we share that knowledge. Those seminars and experiences are a great place for people to come and get started. But then we run workshops and we go in and we teach these classes to teach people directly. And one of the classes we run is the Becoming the Better Speaker. And the Becoming the Better Speaker is exactly about that. It's about putting your story together and putting it on stage. And I use this not just in a business sense or as a speaker sense. We use this in a therapeutic sense. I actually used to do something very similar to this with veterans before I came and did this with Brenda. and she was our instructor through this. The woman that started
Brenda.
this.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so she runs the Becoming the Better Speaker Academy. And what it does over a couple of weeks, you go through not just the business of becoming a speaker, but the performance of being a speaker.
Mechanics.
The mechanics of it, exactly. And what it does for you, when I talk about using it as therapy, I can't recommend it to anybody enough. Of all the things that we look for in this world, we want help for ourselves and from other people. And if we can't convey our story or who we are well enough, then we can't get the information or the help or the resources that we need. And twofold happens when you go through the Speakers Academy. Not only are you able to convey that story better to other people, in the process of going through that, you have to tell your story to yourself in a way that you have to make it make sense to someone else. So you give yourself a whole new perspective on your story that you wouldn't have had you not forced yourself to do it. And so we use this very much in therapy. It's much like the next step in journaling. Not only am I just talking to myself, now I need to tell it to you. And the Speakers Academy helps you kind of do that on a professional space.
What other programs does BTBY have? As a general manager, you have to oversee all of them.
Absolutely. So we have the Becoming the Better Speakers Academy. We also run the Becoming the Better Business. The Becoming the Better Business is where we use much of what I know from sales and marketing, the procedures of the military, what we know from some of our friends in financing. Kevin Wilson is our financial officer. He also helps us run some of the financial courses that we do. So we go into places and we teach sales techniques. We come through and can kind of give you some financial guidance on the structure of your organization. And we can teach classes of all ilk, from marketing to sales.
Ground floor.
Coming in at the BTBY, you come down and you see a seminar. We put some different ones on each year. Usually they're pretty centric around theme. Each year we put one on as what we call the personal development seminar, and that's very spiritual and emotional based. We tell a lot of stories of personal trauma and development and how we kind of overcome those and give techniques and resources to connect you to help you get through that. And then we also try to run a business centric every year. So that's Becoming the Better Business. In fact, we've got one coming up in September, and
where and when?
It will be this September here in Kansas City. Can I get dates from somebody?
13th.
September 13th and 14th.
September 13th and 14th. It'll be downtown Kansas City. If you know where the Beast and the haunted houses are each year downtown.
Yeah, I know where
Yeah,
that stuff.
yeah.
Right. Kemperine. It's not Kemperine anymore. It's
Heavy.
Hy-Vee.
Hy-Vee,
But
right.
on the other side of the highway,
Yes, exactly.
underneath the highway on the other side.
Yep. And so it's actually the one right underneath the 12th Street Bridge. So
Right.
we'll be right underneath there in one of those older buildings. They open it up to an event space, and
Is it going to be like a haunted house?
actually, I think we might be able to get tours of some of those spaces. It's the
I
same
don't think
buildings.
I'm interested in having haunted house.
But it's a really interesting old building, and the reason that we chose it is because the theme for this year's seminar is the work in progress, and so we're all a bit of a work in progress, especially when it comes to business. And now we deal with a lot of small businesses to medium-sized businesses, and just like individuals, we find that some of us are really good specialists in some places.
So if you're saying that business owners are part of BTBY,
Oh, absolutely.
but it's not the main thrust of BTBY.
No, the BTBY is the Becoming the Better You. And we recognize that the Becoming the Better You affects a whole lot of things. It affects your community, it affects your business, it affects your friends and your family. And so when we talk about Becoming the Better You, we really do talk about how that affects all aspects of your life.
So, of course, I'm going to be there.
Mhm.
What am I going to take away?
Oh, when you come to the Becoming the Better Business in September, a great takeaway from this one, like I said, this one is the business centric. So you're going to learn a lot of developmental tools to help you become a better performer in your job or take your business forward. And you'll also have some great opportunities with, we'll have a gentleman, Kevin Harrington, if you might know who he is.
Yeah, wasn't he original shark on
That's
Shark
it.
Tank?
Yes, he was one of the original sharks. And I kind of love his story because sometimes, as we all know, Shark Tank can be pretty
By the way,
sensationalized.
So Kevin's coming a day early, and I believe he's putting on a local Shark Tank-esque opportunity for local business people to make presentations and pitch their opportunities to him and a board of advisors, which I've been asked to participate on. That's going to be such a thrill to sit there and go, nah, I pass. I'm out. No thanks. How do you make money doing that? Right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
going to be an absolute blast.
It's a grill. What some folks may not know about me is I'm also the vice president of the Inventors Center here in Kansas City. It's our local small or medium-sized inventors group. We got like about 800 or 1,200 participants, and we get together every month. And so it's so fun to do these very things, to try to pitch and practice your pitches. So actually, that is one of the things leading up to September that the BTBY is going to start offering of the courses that we offer. I'm going to offer an opportunity for me to,
as vice president of that organization, you might want to hook up with the Kaufman Foundation.
Yes, we work with them quite a bit.
And so when you have a wonderful new invention and they're schooling entrepreneurs, there might be a marriage between someone who's an entrepreneur and someone who's an inventor to take it to market and be successful.
Absolutely. That is actually kind of where I came into this space with the Becoming the Better You, was actually as an inventor. I appreciate what you said about me speaking. I actually,
what have you invented?
What I invented was, it's machines that make machines. You wouldn't have seen it on the commercial market. I did roll press forming. I did orbital welding and a bunch of circular stuff in machines. Probably most famously, the original Zima bottle. If you know what Zima is. Yeah. So when it first came out, it looked like a bowling ball pin. And I worked at a company called Schuler Design up in Iowa. And when it first came out, we had to make the machine put the label on this bottle. And it was just this really weird bottle. And so I made all the changeovers and whatnot that would make that bottle work and do all the turning that needed to. So those are the kind of inventions that I
had one product that I wanted to invent, even though I have no, right. I came up with a concept. And the concept was, as you're driving down the highway and you tap on your brakes, instead of seeing red, you'd see yellow. If you go halfway down on your brakes, you'd see orange. And if you slam on your brakes, you see red. Okay. So you're driving down the highway, you see a red light, all of a sudden you slam on your brakes, the guy behind runs right into you, and there was no reason to slam on your brakes. You're driving through a little neighborhood, and you don't see the ball rolling out in the street in front of you because there's two cars in front of you. You know how much brake to apply based on the car in front of you.
Right.
So I applied for a patent 20 years ago. 13 patents covered this technology
already,
but it's never been brought to market.
Actually, that's a space that we talk about actually at the Inventor Center quite a bit. Depending on what it is that you have, the automotive industry actually does quite a bit to suppress technology. People may or may not know, like the car industry, and this kind of changes depending on what car it is. But it takes about 8 years for an idea to be decided you're going to start doing it, and about 8 years later it'll show up in cars. And that's if they want to put it into implementation right away. But now many of us who work in manufacturing or production may know that it's a bad idea to build a product that you'll run out of, right? You got to kind of build products so that people continue to want them. So product ideas and things on cars come out at a pace. It's like the reason why you get a new iPhone every so many years, because they got to have a new product to sell you. Well, car manufacturing, for a number of reasons, and it's not just to hold out on you, but it's a big deal to add or change from a car. It's a big process. And so it takes a while to get it to put in there.
3 light bulbs.
Oh yeah. And so
really not even a light bulb. It's just different color plastic in the back.
Well, I appreciate what you say, that because now have you noticed some of the lights that show more light as somebody? So now idea you had, somebody had probably precated that a little bit, and they might have taken a long time before they actually used that patent and put it to work.
But now I've had some other great.
Oh ideas. No, we talk about similarities, and I say this is especially interesting when we start to talk about prayer or mindset and how like our social hive brain works. There's a lot, especially when we talk about information that gets shared on most social media. You could used to be able to really, by a region, could tell what was like the news that was shared and the information that was shared. And now it's a lot more homogenized. It's a little bit different to see. But
all right, BTBY.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we got to get back to BTBY.
Is it a cult?
Absolutely, because I am all about getting with a group of people that are out to make themselves better. If you want to call that a cult, man, I'm all bought in on that.
Okay, is it? I mean, do you have to sign up and sign something in blood?
Oh no,
secret society.
No. In fact, almost everything that we do is wide out and in the open. We're almost. I'd hate to use bad words, but we're almost obscene with how much we love to,
Right.
to tell people that we love to change.
Part of my perception of BTBY is non-judgmental,
Mhm.
total inclusion, total acceptance. So as long as you're trying to become a better you without hurting somebody else, our doors are open. We want you to participate. We're looking for fresh blood. We're looking for more ideas, more enthusiasm, more passion. And we're looking for people who just want to watch other people become better versions of themselves. And maybe it will become contagious and turn you on. So you want to become a better version of yourself. This is not something that happens in 6 weeks or 6 hours. This is a lifetime commitment of fulfilling the potential you have of becoming the version of yourself you want to become. No judge. You get to decide. We're going to have programs for people who need to lose weight. Okay, most of us do. We're going to have programs for people who feel they're lost and they have no spiritual connection or emotional growth. We're going to have opportunity for those to give back to community and serve the community. Help carry the water for your neighbors. The village needs more people to help carry water. We're going to have programs for everything. We need more and more lifeblood people who see that there's an opportunity to fix what's wrong with our village and help. And here's our general manager. He's doing a great job. In closing,
Mhm.
what is your vision for BTBY in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, that we spread, that our footprint gets out to everybody that needs to have it. I think within 5 years that we could be across the globe and reaching every individual on the globe that really wanted to.
Do you have
become-
programs for juvenile kids?
Absolutely. There's 4 big branches to what we do, and there are some tenets that we operate under. But how our organization is that we have the Becoming the Better You, which is kind of most of the personal. Then we have the Becoming the Better Business, which is professional development, and then we have the Becoming the Better Youth, which is pretty centric to the youth, where we go into the schools and then we do programs outside of schools as well. And then there's a spiritual element as well that we work with. And so what I see the BTBY doing over the next 4 years is really just fleshing out those 4 main areas and making sure that we can connect everybody that needs to connect. One of the greatest things for people to find success is to find their community. The reason that many of us don't find success is because we're in the you're a brilliant pianist and you're in the subway at New York and nobody can see you, and you really ought to be at Carnegie Hall playing in front of the right people.
Right.
And this is all.
By the way, not that far away,
No.
Subway to Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
They're very close to each other.
Yes, and it's just a matter of your audience.
Right.
And so that is the community that you're playing in front of, the community that you're acting out in. And that is one of the greatest places where I see people struggle and fail, is that they don't have the right community of support. So many times, unfortunately, our families or those that are closest to us, they try to protect us by helping us resist change. And they try to protect us by helping us remember things that they think that we might have forgotten. And so many times that is unfortunate, not to our benefit, it's against our benefit. And if you can put yourself in a group of people that will help you stay accountable, that will help you stay engaged, that will help you stay passionate about what change you're trying to make, you'll find the success you're looking for. It's an inevitability. I mean, there's scientific proof about it. If you give yourself the right processes and put yourself in the right environment, you will succeed.
You pick the path you take.
Yes.
It's a choice.
Absolutely.
And with the choice comes consequences. If you make no choice, you have no bitch or complaint about the path that life leads you down.
Yes, sir.
If you make a progressive, intelligent, I want to become better, this is what I have to do to become a better version of me, you make that choice, you follow that path, you will end up being a better version of yourself. It's really simple, but it starts with a choice. Your choice to get involved with BTBY.
Absolutely.
Mr. Johnny Avocado, Thank you, brother.
Thank you,
Greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Can I leave with one parting word here? Can I succinctly say what you said there for me?
Yes.
Okay, the way I like to say this is that, the fate is what the world hands you. Destiny is what you make of it.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, bro.
See you guys. Oh, comechangeyourlife.com and then see us in September 13th and 14th. You can check us out. And those that are interested in getting your business idea in front of Kevin Harrington, make sure that you start reaching out to us. We're going to have more details about how you do that. You can reach me at johnnyavocado@gmail.com. That's JOHN, the letter E, .avocado, AVOCADO @gmail.com.
Beautiful. Thanks very much, bro.
We'll see you guys.